Hey everyone, welcome back. Icon here. Thanks for checking out another episode of Esports Analysis, and I hate to do this again, but as I was watching CDL Atlanta over the weekend, I had just this, there was this spawn that came through from Florida which really flipped the map that they shouldn't have gotten. They didn't earn that spawn, and it's just whenever I see stuff like that, it doesn't sit well with me because they didn't do anything to earn that rotation, and the game basically just glitched out and gave it to them anyways when they probably should have spawned somewhere else on the other side of the map. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hop into this footage. I'm just going to take about a minute or so, and as this plays, I'm going to set the record. Right now, we are on the first set of rotations. We're at P4. So if I go ahead and hit play, we're just going to let this play out for a couple minutes here, just because I want you to see kind of how things are progressing throughout P4, P5, and then finally back to P1. So, mini-map in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. I like to draw on top of this so I can really set the record. We're currently in P4. After that, it's going to go to P5, which is right here in the middle of the map. And then after that is where the spawn takes place. So, as we rotate back on the second set of rotations to P1, right before they rotate to P2, that's where everything comes into play, and that's where the mistake in the game code was made. So, if we're just looking at this real quick, top middle of your screen, it's 107 to 41. So, at first glance, if you're really watching this, you're probably thinking to yourself, what's it really gonna matter, right? So as we're about to rotate from P4 all the way back to P5 right in the middle of the map, one thing I do want you to recognize is that if you're saying to yourself, you know what, this game's probably going to be over anyways, it's such a large lead, who knows if it's even possible to come back from this. One thing that I will say is that for St Petrograd, you want to have that right spawn for the vast majority of the map. So again, if we're drawing on the minimap, you want to have this spawn over here, just because as it rotates from, right now they're in P5, first of all, it's easier to defend P5 if you're entering from this side of the map where L is, and this person can go mid-map and you can watch all of those entries for P5. But as it rotates to P1, you want to be on the right side of the map so that as it rotates to P2, you also have spawns. So for the next 2.5, for the next 3 hills, you right now, if you're London, you have the spawns that you want to have. So let's just kind of keep that in mind as we move forward here. We'll also keep in mind that it was about a 70-point lead. So right now to start here, Florida's doing a really nice job of just getting time inside the hill. This is one where if you're getting the spawn that's on the left side of the map, so if you're trying to enter this hardpoint from middle map, that's something that's really hard to do. So after Jerd gets a couple kills here, Wuskin gets a kill, eventually this is going to slow down, right? So they're going to be able to overtake this hardpoint, and they're going to be able to get the little bit of scrap time that's left. But what I want to point out is that as this rotates is where you're going to see it. So 15 seconds left, the time in the middle, it's going to be fought over, it's going to be contested. That's a nice win there inside that current hard point, because essentially there's about 15 seconds there, so that's a 30-point swing. So if you're London, you might have tried to rotate out a little bit early, but let me explain kind of what's happening at the moment, because this is a really nice push forward from Florida. So Florida was inside of P5, and essentially what they're going to do is they're going to send somebody blue courtyard as they're trying to flip, and they're going to have somebody play the long game. They're going to try to flip spawns back here. Now, it doesn't actually end up being successful, although it kind of does, because the game rewarded them when it shouldn't have. One thing that I will say is that if you're London, this is a really bad setup. So you do want to have somebody in the back. They have Jerd back here watching the back. And then everybody else, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, everybody else is pushed up into P1. And all you're doing by pushing up that far is you're just begging for these spawns to be flipped. Because as these people rush through blue back here, they're going to end up, through blue courtyard, they're going to end up pushing through there. And even if it's a 2v1, the chances of Jerd winning a 2v1 there or a 1v2, it's just not very high. The better setup is to have somebody maybe up here in top blue that's watching this cross, that's watching mid-map, and then you have somebody in the back that's watching this cross. Now, all of a sudden, from these locations, you have all of the pushes laid out for you. So let's just keep that in mind, that I don't really love this setup from London, but that's not what ends up costing them these spawns. So again, right now it's about a 70-point game, right? So this is still just about the same distance as it was before. And what you're going to see here is that London is going to do a fantastic job of slaying out on this P1 rotation here. And they're going to be getting basically they're going to get all 60 points right here on P1. So what was a 70 or 80 point lead is going to be dissipated. Now, this is the spawns. So I was explaining kind of a little bit of the background knowledge, but let's go ahead, let's back this up just a few seconds, and let's talk about what we're seeing. So right here, okay, there's one more Florida player in the back. There's this person. Whoops, sorry, let me go ahead, grab the right tool. This person is back here in the back at P2, and they just got a kill on Jerd. So this is Skies. Skies pushed all the way through the back. We saw him flanking earlier in the breakdown, and he got a kill on Jerd. So essentially, right now, there are 4 London players on the right side of the map, and there's 1 Florida player on the right side of the map. Now, as we go ahead and we let this play out, you're going to see that, so somebody else spawns up. So Jerd spawns in right there. Dylan also spawns. So as of right now, there are still, the right side of the map is really heavy with London players. As we go ahead and hit play, you're going to see that he goes down, right? So right there, whoever was back there, so Skies was back there, he got killed by Dylan. And right now, essentially the entire right side of the map is filled by London players. So it's kind of, there are 4 players on the left side for Florida. There are 5 players on the right side for London. As we go ahead and let this play, so just kind of watch here as this progresses, Dylan's going to end up dying from Pristini. So again, right here, he gets this kill on Pristini. And I think a little bit of this has to deal with timing, because for just a split second, what you're going to see is this person's dead from Florida. Skies is dead. Pristini ends up getting traded out. There are already 2 people dead in the P1 hardpoint, and this last person that's over here, that's Mox, he ends up going down too. So essentially, everybody goes down at the same time for Florida, and because of that, the game just has a glitch where they're not sure where to spawn Florida at. So as we press play, again, they're all down inside the hill. Pristini's going to end up going down here, but look at where the spawns came in. So if we're watching right here, all of those players from Florida that are coming off of spawn got this back right spawn. Why, right? What's the purpose, or what's the game logic? What's the spawn logic behind them getting this spawn? The only thing that makes sense whatsoever is that 4 Florida players were dead. But even so, when you're looking at this spawn right here, in particular, there's 1 London player that's still closer to it, right? So this ends up getting traded out. Jerd gets this kill here. So it's not even like, okay, there's Jerd is right there, Pristini's right there. So Pristini's closer to the right side of the map, so Florida's going to get that spawn. That's not what we're seeing on screen right here. So what should have happened is that as those Florida players come up, if you want to spawn them towards mid-map, right here, that's perfectly fine, because that's a spot that's pretty close to where Pristini's at. I'm not saying that they should spawn on this side of the map. I think obviously that doesn't really make very much sense, but why would they get that beneficial spawn as it rotates back to P2? I mean, as I was watching this live, I felt so bad for London, because right now they're still going to get the last 40 seconds of this current hard point. They are not going to give this up. So if you add 40 points to this, now all of a sudden it's a 138 to 111 game, and you're down by 25 points. And if you still have spawns for P2 and you win that hill, now all of a sudden it's a different ball game. So as we go ahead and we play this, you can see that Pristini gets traded out. So had those players not be spawned in behind him, had they not been spawned there for Florida, they still own the right side of the map, right? There's nobody on that right-hand side of the map. So as London is coming up off of spawn, you can see that Dylan just spawned in right here, and now they're getting that middle spawn, which it just doesn't make any sense, right? So if you're talking about the game logic before, Jerd was on the right-hand side of the map, Pristini was to the left of him, and Florida got the spawn all the way to the right in P2. And if you're thinking about this, so Jerd is right here, and there are Florida players to the right of him, so his teammate spawns mid-map, which is where I was just calling. That's where Florida players should have spawned, right? If Pristini was towards the middle of the map, that's where they should have gotten the spawn. It's just a mistake in the game code. So as we go ahead and we play this out, look, you can tell that London has no idea, right? Jerd is backing up to watch that, but you can tell by Dylan's position right here and Rated's position over here by Big Arch, that they're still thinking that Florida's going to be coming from the left side of the map. They're going to be coming from P3. And the game just gave Florida the spawn that they were trying to protect. So now that that's happened, they've given up spawns technically, or the game has given them spawns. And now, even with the next 25 seconds here in this current hill, they're going to end up going to London. This is such a difficult hard point to break. Even if you're able to win a team gun battle, it still becomes a left side of the hill versus right side of the hill thing. So let me show you this real quick. Even if you're able to win this gun battle here, so all these London players that are at the top of the map, all these guys up here, if they're able to win these gun battles, Florida's going to spawn right here, right? So essentially what this is that once you have control of this spawn, this becomes a left-hand side of the current hard point versus a right-hand side of the current hard point. So London's going to try to come through this way, and Florida's going to try to come through either of these ways. So now there's ways of combating this, but they shouldn't have had it given up in the first place, right? So with 7 seconds left, this is going to be the exact type of game that we were talking about. There's 7 seconds left. I don't like that they left early because they could have gotten another 6 seconds, but it should be 138 to 110 essentially. And even though London is currently in the hard point, they're not going to end up getting the majority of this time. They are going to end up going down. And then even though, so again, they've gotten the first 12 seconds or so, but here very soon it's going to get contested. You can see right there, Skies, Mox, they all got kills. And then now when they push through, those last 30 or 35 seconds are going to end up going the other way. Whereas if London had this spawn, right, now London is spawning, they've backed up all the way over here. If London had this spawn over here on the right-hand side, those 35 seconds would have went to them. And now all of a sudden you're talking about a 150-ish to 140 ball game. And London's got the lead as it goes back over towards rotations towards P3. So, if you want to see, I broke down the rest of this game. I'll go ahead at the very end of this. I'll have a card on screen if you want to see exactly how this one turns out. But for me personally, I just wanted to point these things out because right now we're playing a major CDL event and things like this are happening where teams they're getting spawns, they're getting beneficial spawns that they didn't work for and that they don't deserve. So, I don't know. As I was watching this in real life, I felt really bad for London because they had an opportunity. They did everything properly to start a comeback there, and the game kind of screwed them a little bit. So, if you're new around here and you enjoy this sort of content, please make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything like this in the future. If you have any comments, make sure you leave them down below. I love those interactions and talking with you guys, so please make sure you leave any comments if you have any. If you don't mind, leave a like before you head on your way. And with that, guys, thank you so much. I'll catch you in the next episode.